Speaking of covering Walnut Creek, I know Station 4 has been closed for some significant period of time. And a couple of questions that in your perfect world, if you could open a station in South Walnut Creek, would it be where Station 4 is located, or is there another spot, given the community and access, where you would say this is where we need a station if we're going to have one in South Walnut Creek?
So great question. I'll start with short term and then move to long term. So short term, we are looking at reopening or planning on reopening Station 4 July of 22. So I used to say it was 18 months away. Now it's only, 15 months away. And so we are planning on that. We are recruiting right now for a fire academy to start in October. Presumably the people that are in that fire academy would be filling some of the slots that are necessary to staff Station 4 in its present location. And we're working on the maintenance and some of the rehab of that structure as we speak in order to get it back up to a status where we can put people in 15 months from now. So that's the short term. I'll digress a little bit. We started building stations again or relocating stations about 5-6 years ago. It is a very lengthy, painful, and incredibly expensive process to build a fire station for a variety of reasons that would take too long to talk through all of them. We are in the process of opening a brand new station in San Pablo. We will move into it in less than 30 days. We are groundbreaking a station in Bay Point in a couple of weeks, and still planning for a new station out at the airport to replace a 60, almost 70-year-old station in Pacheco. When it comes to Station 4 and Southern Walnut Creek, we actually enlist the help of a software system called Deccan to help us determine where the optimal location of stations would be. And we are in the process of, and I think we actually have a presentation by that firm this week, if not next week, on more of a long-term view for Southern Walnut Creek. And I believe it's going to suggest that in a perfect world, that the best location for that station, I'm just going to throw out Newell and what is south of Broadway Plaza there, Newell, and what does it run into? It's not Civic, it's kind of south of Broadway Plaza there, I think is where the optimal location for a station would be to service not just the current area of Station 4, but also Southern Walnut Creek. Now, the computer doesn't take into account the fact that there might be a gas station there, or there might be a hotel there, or there may be a house, or what have you. So that's one of the limiting factors is, can you actually build a station where the computer model says is the optimal location? And usually your luck just doesn't run that way, and you have to find something that's close by that makes sense. But when you're talking about possibly acquiring property, then going through the environmental review process, then going through the building process, you're talking years. From this point, it would probably be at least 5 years, I would think, if we were going to move Station 4 somewhere.
Gotcha. We're getting close on time. I do. Some people ask all the time, how much of your resources as a fire and rescue service are actually dedicated to accidents, that kind of thing, rather than fires?
Well, I would say last time I really dug into the data, roughly 70% of our calls are for non-fire calls. They be medical or rescue or vehicle accident or things that are not fire related. And so that leaves about 30% for fire related calls, vegetation fires in the summer, or what we're now calling peak fire season, and structure fires throughout the year as an example. But that's just the call volume. When you look at the time on task and what the time commitment is needed for these incidents, the average EMS call is, I'll just say 20 minutes. It was 19 minutes and 25 seconds, I think, was the average commitment time for resources on a EMS call, a typical EMS call in a home, as an example. However, the commitment, and that's just one fire engine as an example. So one fire engine for 20 minutes for an EMS call. The commitment time for structure fires is closer to an hour and a half, and it's an hour and a half times 5, or in some cases times 10. So when you really look at workload factors, we have to look at the time on task and the amount of resources that are necessary for that particular task. And when you look at that, the numbers actually start shifting a bit. So it ends up being roughly 60% of the work that we do is EMS or non-fire related, and 40% of the work that we do is fire related.
I think, kind of getting here towards the end, an issue that a number of people have asked about is the homeless issue and homeless camps, and kind of the irony of businesses can't put up a tent and have to be very careful about things, but somehow we have, in certain areas, particularly Concord, just allowed tents, messes, just this, the most remarkable kinds of things. And we often see engines and ambulances responding to those, and even fires. So give us a little sense of, from your perspective in the fire service, how the resources that the fire service has to use to respond to issues, homeless issues and homeless encampments and homeless fires.
Well, kind of what I was talking about before is, as far as the new normal, I think homelessness and challenges with housing and encampments is something that is relatively new for us, and we're still getting our hands around it in so many different ways, from the response factor to the fire prevention and public education factor of getting into these encampments and realizing that they exist, they're going to exist. Hopefully they're in an organized fashion that either the county or the city is helping to manage, so that it's not just an ad hoc camp, and then we can focus on helping the residents in the city or the county focus on fire safety and making it as safe as it can be. But the number of incidents involving encampments is growing. The number of incidents involving fires in encampments is growing. I mean, if you sort of go back in your mind to the era of candles and gas lamps and wood frame structures, and the quantity of fires that existed in those types of environments, it's very similar with these ad hoc built structures that have portable lighting, portable heating, portable cooking, lots of different open flame types of environments that can easily catch fires. So whether it's any jurisdiction really, it's up and down the state, the incidence of fire in homeless encampments is growing and becoming a bigger dynamic for all of us. We do have a very close working relationship with Lavonna Martin and her department to be as proactive as possible in identifying where truly unsafe locations would exist. So, for example, we work very hard to help relocate camps that we identify up in the hills, especially during the summertime, because if a fire were to start there, it leaves the camp, gets into the hills, and then gets into homes. So we work with her office to be as proactive as we can to identify more suitable locations. And then within as many camps as we can identify with her office, we have a dedicated group of people now who go out every day and work with the camps on education, safer cooking techniques, fire extinguishers, things like that. But it is an ever-evolving challenge, and it's a growing challenge. It doesn't seem to be slowing down, and it's something that not just me, but many other fire chiefs are struggling with. What is the most appropriate and most efficient way to handle these?
All right, Chief, I could keep you here for another hour at least with questions, but we've reached the end of our time. I want to Thank you very much. I think this is so enlightening and very important for our businesses and our community to hear from our fire chief and see what really is going on. So I want to thank you again, and perhaps a few months from now, we'll invite you back on some other issues for one of our back to business presentations. And thank you so very much for being here today. I know everyone is thankful and very happy that you spoke with us about a very important aspect of our community. Thank you very much.